All right, everyone. Today we're going to talk about molecules. You remember that last time we were talking about atoms, and a molecule is just multiple atoms that are bonded together. And so you probably know a bunch of different molecules without even maybe knowing that they are molecules. But anything that's bonded, any two atoms that are bonded together is a molecule, any two or more. So two or more atoms bonded together, you could probably tell me, carbon dioxide is a molecule, or water is a molecule, or glucose is a molecule. Those are maybe the ones we're familiar with because we just talked about photosynthesis and respiration. A molecule can be the same atom or different atoms bonded together. Different atoms bonded together would be a compound. Talk about that here. Let's go over some examples. So write these guys down. Pause it if you need to. Compound. Okay, so here we have some examples. Okay, oxygen gas. That actually would be this one here. So we know that because earlier we looked at what's in the nucleus of an atom, and we know that protons determine what atom it is. So this has 8 protons. So these are oxygen. So this molecule here is O2. Oh, I don't know what happened with that underline. Here's some more. Okay, nitrogen gas, N2, H2O, carbon dioxide. Okay, so down here is carbon dioxide. This would be an example of a compound because it has different atoms bonded together. Oxygen over here would be a molecule, but not a compound. Okay, so let's talk about bonding types. Actually, we're just going to talk about covalent bonds. Hopefully, you've heard the word at least before, if not what it means. But this is when two atoms are bonded together because they are sharing electrons. Okay, you know what they say about sharing? Sharing is nice. That's the saying. So anyway, over here, what we can see is that these two electrons are being shared. So one of them actually belonged to this atom, and maybe this one belonged to this atom on the left, but now they are together and they're being shared, and that creates a bond between these two atoms. And that's kind of the depth that we need to know for biology right now, at least for this level. Over here, you can see this oxygen. So this is H2O, right? We have two hydrogens and an oxygen. The oxygen has these yellow electrons, and the green ones belong to the hydrogen. And so this one, let's say, was lonely, and this one was lonely, and so they came together and made a pair. And here we made another pair, and so oxygen is going to bond to these two hydrogens. Okay, so the bond is the sharing of a pair of electrons between the two. So let's say we take a molecule that we know, right? CH4. This was methane. I don't know what's going on with that right there. So CH4, we would draw the structure of it like this. One carbon in the middle bonded to 4 hydrogens. Okay, and so this, remember, is a pair of electrons. I want you guys to draw this. This should be in your notes, okay? So another way that we could draw this, or just show what's happening, I just want to show you how this is happening. You wouldn't really draw it like, well, you might in chemistry later. Okay, so this is how you could draw this, right? So each one of these lines is a bond which represents, oh, that looks like a double line. Let's make it a single line. So each one of the lines is a bond which represents 2 electrons being shared, one of the hydrogen, one of the carbon, and they are together in a bond. Okay, so these 2 electrons is a bond. Okay, cool. Let's keep moving. Get that down in your notes. Here is a GIF of 2 atoms coming together. And you'll see that their lone one electron that's not paired up wants to pair up, and it pairs up with the other one, and then that bonds the 2 atoms together, and we get a molecule. All right, that's good enough. Covalent bonds. All right, a final example, okay? O2. This is O2 because we have 2 oxygens, and they are pairing because their lone electron wants a pair. Okay, properties of covalent bonds. Let's write this down. We're going to write two properties here. The first thing is that all of our biological molecules, like meaning all of the things that make up our cells, those are held together by covalent bonds. So all of the things that you see, whether it's this is a eukaryote, we haven't learned this yet, but eukaryote is like a plant or an animal or fungi, and prokaryotes are like bacteria. And so all of the things in these cells, all of the different organelles, the mitochondria, you know it, the powerhouse of the cell, ribosomes, the the nucleus, this is the nucleolus, but all of those things, the molecules that are in those things that make up those things are held together by covalent bonds. Okay, that's going to matter more later when we talk about like the structure of, well, all of these things, but specifically the cell membrane. Okay, so prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, so bacteria, plants, animals, every kind of cell is held together. Those biological molecules that we're going to talk about more are held together by covalent bonds. Okay, another one. Covalent bonds are not soluble in water, so they don't dissolve in water, and that makes sense because hopefully you've probably heard that like 70% of your body is made of water, and whatever the exact number is, I'm not sure. That's probably in the ballpark, but your cells inside are filled with this jelly-like fluid, and most of that's made up of water. On the outside of your cells are also water in between your cells. It's called interstitial fluid. And so all of this water, if our molecules were dissolvable or soluble, this word right here, this is a new one, okay? If they were soluble in water, then we would just be a big puddle of goop, right? Like everything would just dissolve in the water of our cells, okay? So here's an example, a glucose molecule. We have glucose in our bodies. One individual glucose molecule, check out this editing. This is just top notch right here. Bam, look at that. Nothing happened. Okay, so when we put it in the glass of water, one individual sugar molecule, its bonds do not dissolve. Okay, this is a little bit different than like if you had a sugar cube, let's say. Oh, why aren't I writing? If you had a sugar cube, then there's a bunch of individual little glucoses in here, and they're not bonded together. They're just kind of tightly compacted. So if you put this in here, like the cube would dissolve, but we would still have individual glucose molecules that are floating around in there. And the bonds in that glucose molecule, these covalent bonds that I'm highlighting, those are covalent. They will not dissolve in water. Okay, that's quite important for our body. All right, we'll talk about that later. Now that we have a basic grasp of molecules, we're going to talk about the four major biological molecules. There are four of them. Okay. These are the things that mostly make up our cells. Pretty much all of our cells are made of these four things. Four main components. So, four main components. And then we can list these. I hope you guys have heard of these. You probably have because they're also food. So, carbohydrates, lipids, which are fats. Carbs are sugars, right? Lipids are fats, proteins, and the last one, nucleic acids. Okay. So, what you guys are going to do is watch this crash course, biological molecules video with Hank Green, who maybe you know is the brother of John Green, the author of like A Fault in Our Stars and other books. But anyway, Hank, the science brother, he talks about all of these things. Actually, in the video, I think he talks about these things. And what I want you to think about as he's doing that is what is the function of these molecules? What is the function of the molecules? But also, I have another part of the assignment too. Okay, so you're going to take notes on the video. That will be part of the assignment today. All right, well, thanks. And we will go over these things in more detail after you've watched the introduction video about them. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.